Okay, so I am here tonight with Jake Sloan. Hey, Roger. Thank you. So I'm here with Jake Sloan tonight, and I wanted to give you a little background about how I found his videos. I went on to Droning About Northwest, my very good friend up in Coeur d'Alene. So he lives about 8 hours from me. And Jake Sloan came on there, and I just thought I'm going to go check his channel out because I try to check everyone's channel out. And I saw the most incredible video I think I've ever seen. So it was with him with Fat Tire bikes. Hey, Phantom 101. And he was riding across this frozen lake. And all I could think was, I'm sure it's the mom in me, what if he breaks through? So I immediately went on to his next live stream that he did and asked him, could you break through? Of course. And then I started watching all of his more adventure videos. And then I started watching his lighting videos, which you can tell I don't have straight yet. That's how I got to know Jake Sloan. So I asked him to come on here because I find his videography, just his cinematography, beautiful. And so we're going to talk to him about that tonight and some of the reviews he's doing and why he's doing those particular reviews. Okay. Hey, Jake.
Hey, Val.
I am so excited. I'm like a fangirl. Hey, Paul Murray.
That's not weird or awkward or all this. Yeah.
No, I am. I just, it's like I said before we came on that you remind me of a Peter McKenna. The type of photography you do is in the B-roll that you do. It's stunning.
Well,
I'm just like, I'm sorry. I'm just, yay.
It's fun. It helps living in a place like Alaska too, where, I guess not every place is amazing and beautiful, and the weather's not always perfect, but it certainly helps to have the backdrop of the mountains and the snow and the glaciers and everything else.
So were you raised in Alaska?
So I was raised overseas and in Washington State some, and in Alberta, Canada some, and then also in a country called Nepal. So I have traveled quite a bit. Yeah, Nepal, which is where, for most people don't know where it is. It's between India and China, and it has half of Mount Everest on it. So if you were going to really do something crazy and climb Mount Everest, you'd go to Nepal and start your journey there.
Yeah, it's so funny. When I first started videos and doing this 2 years ago, I had a whole group of young Nepalese, maybe.
Yeah,
Nepalese on my channel.
Oh, that's funny. That's awesome.
And I thought they were just absolutely great. And of course, they have school and they have tests, so we don't see them as often. It's only during certain part of the years they kind of come back and come in. But yeah. So why were you in Nepal? Can I ask you?
My parents were part of a group that was going in and trying to help find clean sources of water to bring into villages, because a major problem there was clean water, simple for us, but really difficult over there. And so they had the infant mortality rate, or mortality rates for kids under the age of 3, was over 50% and stuff. And it was almost all just because of bad water. So my dad would go into villages way out in the middle of nowhere, no running water, no electricity, nothing, and find a clean source of water up in the hills to pipe down to the village and then bring it in. I say I was like, I was there when I was like 7 till I turned, it was about 14, almost 14 when we moved back to the U.S.
Wow. So you went right into your teenage years doing that kind of work.
Yeah.
So were you happy to be there? I mean, as a teenager, were you like, come on, Mom?
No, I mean, I loved growing up there. It was an adventure, and it was quite an experience. The hard part for me was moving back to the U.S.
Oh,
because I'd spent so much of my formative years outside of the U.S. I was really, I didn't know anything about pop culture. I didn't understand any of the references or slang or anything like that because I'd basically grown up in a village, 2 weeks journey from the nearest city. So it was a big adjustment for me coming back. And then on top of that, coming back right when you're starting your teen years, and
right.
that's complicated anyway. And then to add the whole multicultural aspect on top of it was a lot more. But survived. I'm here. I'm glad.
So when you look back at that time, what do you think now?
I wouldn't trade it for anything. I think I've had some of the most amazing experiences, and just things that are incredibly rare for most people in the world to experience. And I mean, I guess I still do. Not a lot of people in the world get to go mountain biking across a frozen lake to a glacier and stand on the glacier, or crawl through an ice cave.
No,
Feet
they
down
do
underneath the
not.
side of a glacier.
But let's be clear, a lot of us wouldn't do it anyway.
Well, so
Because
I get a lot of grief for that. Like, I mean, when I was on Ken's show, he gave me a bunch of grief, or Kelly gave me a bunch of grief. It's like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? And and I do tell people, I mean, it is a calculated risk, but
it is.
everybody's driving down the road. I mean, you take a calculated risk every day. You just don't think about it. The reason most people think about like crawling inside of an ice cave is it's out of the normal sort of calculated risk that we take. But for me, it is definitely a risk, and I think about it before I ever go in the caves. And so I was up there in where those ice caves are. What is it? Yes. What is today? Sunday. So Friday, 2 days ago. And do you remember the ice cave I flew my drone backward through?
Yes.
It was huge. It's probably 30 feet tall or something, 40, 50 feet wide. That whole entire cave has been filled in with snow from avalanches. And the two entrances are just starting to reappear. So I got to the entrances and I looked down in and I was like, oh, I could go down in there. But then I watched it for a while and realized, this is not it's not a wise calculated risk at this point, even though I really wanted to go inside because it looks so cool down in there. But I was like, you know what? Yeah, not today.
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking, because I saw when I was looking at it, it looked in the ice cave, and some of it was fairly narrow, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, so what would happen if you started hearing that cracking sound that you can hear with glacier, just kind of crunching?
Yeah, and that's something really unique that unless you've been really pretty close to a glacier, you don't really the sounds that glaciers make when they're moving, because they are always moving and always flowing, which is odd to think about a big, huge river of ice, hundreds of feet thick, flowing, but it is. It's a really odd sound when you hear it. There's one video I have from last year, I think it was last year, that I like crank the sound way up, and you can hear the kind of cracking, popping sort of sound that it makes. And and that is, that's one of the things. Anytime I'm going into an ice cave or something like that, I stop and sit there for a while and listen, because if a glacier's getting ready to shift, it's always preceded by a lot of cracking and popping. Same thing with, if you're on a lake or on the ocean and you're watching one where the active faces and the pieces are falling off, like anytime those pieces fall off, it's always preceded by a fair amount of noise. And up here we kind of talk about, we jokingly refer to it as the glacier talking to you, letting you know, it's about catastrophic.
Didn't you go close and you said, listen to the sound?
And
it was making almost a musical sound with some of the cracking and the popping.
Yeah. Oh, that was so that was,
yeah, I'm telling you, I watched everything.
Yeah, that was the lake. And Portage Lake, I've lived up in Alaska 25 years now. And Portage Lake is in a really different area. So there's tons of weather that comes from the Gulf across this little pass, and usually that area is a lot of wind, just a lot of rapidly changing weather. and so it's almost always it freezes with really rough ice, and then it gets snow and stuff on top, and it just, and so this year was the first time I've ever seen in my life where it froze so rapidly, and the weather was so calm for about 10 days that it froze this just perfectly clear sheet of ice, no bubbles, no ripples, no wrinkles, no nothing.
Wow.
And so I've been keeping my eye on it because I wanted to get across the lake, and we hadn't ever been able to this year until that time. And the only way to keep your eye on it is go down there and inspect the ice and see how thick it is and stuff like that. So I went down, but the lake, when ice freezes, and especially when it's freezing really rapidly, the whole surface of a lake turns into what's similar to like a drum head. And so that because the ice is freezing, you can hear it resonating. And so that's what the sound was on that, is the sound of the lake actually freezing, but the whole surface of the lake, because it's frozen, starts to vibrate and create a sound. Most of the time when the ice gets thicker, you can't hear it because it's too low. The frequencies are way below our hearing. But yeah, that time was just wow, because the ice was, I think at that time it was like 4, maybe 5 inches thick. And so it was thin enough that you could hear it vibrating as it
I'm
was
trying
freezing.
to see in my mind about what that would look like. So you convinced, how many, was it 4 friends?
Uh-huh.
To go across this lake.
Yeah.
So they must be very good friends of yours to be okay with that.
They are. One of them, he's in a lot of my videos, Keith.
The one with the beard, with the gray
beard.
Yeah.
We're always joking about his epic beard. It seems like he could grow a beard like that overnight. But yeah, at that point, the ice was about 8 inches thick, and ice is funny in the way that if it's the more clear it is, the stronger it is. And so this ice was about 6 to 8 inches thick. It was perfectly clear, which means it's just, I mean, you could probably drive a small car on that lake at that point and not worry about it. We didn't try it, obviously, but it's really, really incredibly strong when it's really, really clear, which is another reason I go into ice caves, glacier ice caves a little bit, because at that point, especially on the underside of the glacier, it's so dense. That ice has been packed down with, tens of thousands of pounds and years and years and years of time. And so it's so dense at that point that it's probably stronger than any concrete that we have at this point. So I convinced my friends, and it was kind of one of those things where it's like, look, the lake hadn't frozen to this point in the winter. Well, it had, and then it broke up and it was really terrible ice. And it's like, we've got this one little window of time to get across the lake, especially when the ice was so perfectly clear and smooth, to do the video and some photos and stuff like that. And then sure enough, the next week that ice was gone. And
oh, wow.
It was really a really fast, short year. Partly that ice broke up because a chunk of the glacier came down that was just about the size of a city block. And when it came down, because the ice was thin, the wave from that broke the ice up all the way across the lake. And then 5 days after that, I think it had all started to melt because we were getting into spring. So
you listened to make sure that wasn't going to happen when you were on it, right?
As far as the like the pieces of the glacier coming down, or well, yes and no. You take. I mean, it is a risk.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't really tell when things are coming down. I mean, you will hear the cracking and stuff, but you don't necessarily get like several minutes of warning before it comes down. Usually it's like 10 to 30 seconds, maybe. Maybe a minute of warning before a piece is going to come off. So that's why we stay away from that really active face and kind of stayed out toward the front there, away from it a little ways, so that if something did come down, we'd be on the ice. The ice might move around a lot, but we'd be safe sitting on top of the ice until it stopped. The waves stopped moving,
crackling across.
Yeah, and but yeah, anytime we're going into ice caves or into anywhere that's really close to the edge of a glacier, we're always really cautiously listening and watching for anything that's moved recently, or that sounds like it's getting ready to move, because it's a calculated risk.
Yeah, and that's what when I'm looking at it, that's what I'm seeing. I guess I'm seeing the risk that it takes to go out. Now it seems really exciting for you to do it.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, yeah.
It always is. And doing the where the ice caves are, that glacier is not a really what you would call a really active glacier, where it's really actively moving downhill and breaking up as it goes. The Portage Glacier, the front edge of that, if I remember right, it moves about a foot a day. And
Oh, wow.
so that's a pretty active glacier. The areas where we go into the ice caves and stuff like that, that's a pretty somewhat stable glacier. It's, now this time of year, it's starting to get more unstable just because of the heat that's on it during the day and the sun and stuff like that. But deep down inside, if you think about like the one area we went down and I did the steel wool photos down inside, that was under probably 300, maybe 400 feet of ice, vertical feet of ice.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot, and it's super, super strong. So at the same time, it's still, it's
It can
a
still
little
crack
other,
off.
it's still, yeah, and it's still a little otherworldly to go down in there, and you can kind of hear these
Sorry.
deep groans and occasional cracks and pops, and so it is a little bit weird. And I threw a 360 video together because I wanted to try and give people an idea of what it's like to be inside one, with the cracks and the pops and stuff like that. It's
Oof.
just it's interesting. In fact, the first time I didn't get any video of it. The first time I went through that really big ice cave, the really big ice cavern,
Right.
I just walked inside and everything seemed good. And so I walked inside and I was like maybe 100 feet inside, and that thing's probably 500 or 600 feet long total. And I heard a huge crack off just behind me and to my left. And at that point, I was just running as fast as I could up this hill to get out, because it was just scary as heck. And,
that would have been very scary. Oh my gosh.
was. And in fact, I'm trying to work a deal with a really high-end microphone manufacturer and a really high-end recorder manufacturer to see if they'll loan me a couple of microphones and a recorder to take out and record the sounds of a glacier, because there's not very many good recordings of it out there. And every time I go out, and if you watch the videos, you can see there's kind of two areas of ice with a big rock outcropping in the center.
Right.
So kayak or bike to that rock outcropping in the center and get up on top of those rocks, which is like 300 feet high. And then you can sit there and watch both sides of the glacier, but you're really safe because you're on just solid rock. So I want to go up there one day and sit there with two really good high quality microphones and a really good high quality recorder and record the sounds of the glacier. Because when I did the Rode Wireless Go review out there, while I was setting up and getting ready, I kept hearing the glacier pop and crack. And that's why I was really hoping a big piece would fall off in the video, because that would have been amazing. It did, and I mean, a big piece, I'm talking about like a piece the size of a school bus or a house or something like that. Lots of smaller pieces that are giant fall off, but they just don't look that impressive in the face of a giant glacier.
Right.
But while I was sitting there setting up, I kept hearing it crack and pop, and one crack, I heard it start down by the face, but I heard it travel all the way up the glacier, probably at least a half mile or so. And it's wild when you think about the sheer amount of force that's moving that much ice downhill, and then you hear a crack ripple through it. That's because the ice is in that area is probably 600 feet thick or maybe 700 feet thick, and it's every time I go out and stand in by near any glacier, it's always it's really impressive. It's so vast and huge, it's really hard to comprehend.
Well, and that comes through in your videos, especially with the music you choose when you're backing off the glaciers.
Yeah.
I mean, it really gives you an idea of how vast that area is.
Right, and that's what I really I need to. I've been working on, and I'm trying to get a video together um, to help people get better drone shots of nature, specifically in areas. Because without an idea of the scale of things, it's really hard. I mean, it could be anything. You know,
Right.
it could be miles across, or it could be 50 feet across.
Right.
We have no idea because we don't have anything to reference, like, oh, there's a tree, or person, or a car, or house, or anything like that. And so the to get the scale of it is really hard. So that glacier works actually pretty well because it's only about half a mile wide at the edge there, and then it's 6 and 7 miles long. So you can get an idea of scale because you can still kind of see people in comparison to the edge of it. Some of the other glaciers I've gone to, there's one out where you hike up to the top of this hill, and one of these days when the weather's good, I'm going to go back up there and do it. But it is, what is it, 11 miles wide at the base, and it's 37 miles long. And so at that point, like, you can't really get anything in there for scale because it's huge. It's just, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It's so gigantic at that point. It's like, well, you can put a person down there and they look like a speck of dust. You'd never.
Right.
So it just,
So,
it's still impressive to go see, though.
Yeah, Ms. Rodert, I had a question for you. She wanted to, let's see. So do you see climate change growing rapidly in Alaska?
My take on that is a little different than probably what most people do. One, because the media, regardless of what side of the spectrum, say the political spectrum you fall on, the media always is, they really pick and choose their footage and their clips to push a story one way or another.
Yeah.
Be careful here.
Yeah, which is quite, we don't do political here, but
political stuff or something, but
but we just, they do pick and choose, like we pick and choose, right?
Right, yeah.
And we have to realize we do it too, right?
The best shots for the story I want to tell.
Right.
So the video I'm working on right now, like, I have 4 hours of footage. That's going to end up being a 8-minute video.
Right.
A lot of stuff I'm not going to use. And so it's just, that's part of the way it goes. So as far as climate change, it's really hard for me to go down the road of saying, yes, there is climate change, because we have glaciers here. I mean, there is climate change. I mean, the climate's always changing. It just always has. So like that Portage Glacier, that glacier used to come all the way out that valley, almost down to where Anchorage is, which is about 55 miles.
Wow.
But that was thousands and thousands of years ago. And then there's another glacier, the one that I shot with the Mavic 2 Pro, that used to go all the way out that valley and way, way out past Anchorage. It was probably 150 miles long or something like that, 2,000 or 3,000 years ago. So those things have been melting and receding for thousands of years. And they are still, some of them are still melting and receding. And then there are other glaciers up here that are actually expanding and growing. And so the problem with, in my opinion, with basing, hard conclusions based on what I consider to be a relatively short time period of our understanding of climate, in the sense of we've only really been really accurately recording temperatures and ice, all this stuff for 100 years, which in the grand scheme of things is like nothing compared to however long the Earth's been around. And so it's hard for me to go, yeah, this is 100% because of, I guess I'd say, man-made climate change or something like that, because it definitely is climate change. You can see the evidence where the glaciers were much more, much bigger than they are now. But that recession has been happening for thousands of years and way before we were around with combustion engines. On the other hand, then we've got other glaciers up here that are growing, And one of them, the Hubbard Glacier specifically, every few like decade or 2 decades, it pushes all the way across the fjord and hits the mountain on the other side, effectively creating a giant inland sea, and then cutting off the ocean and the tide there, and until the inland sea that was created basically builds up enough water to push through the glacier and wash the ice away and stuff. And so that glacier is pretty actively expanding, and they figure, in the next 50 to 100 years, it's going to block off that entire channel completely to where it won't be able to push through anymore. And then there's a few other glaciers up here that are expanding too. And then there are ones that are like rapidly receding, and it's really hard for us to understand really clearly why, because we don't really have the technology to really accurately measure the amount of precipitation that a glacier gets, where it up at the top where it's beginning, and then we don't really have very good technology to be able to measure thickness of ice, because like radar and stuff like that, it doesn't see water, and ice is frozen water, and so we can look through the glacier and see where the hard ground is on the bottom, but from there it's all pretty much guesstimates. And then the fact that they're constantly moving and constantly changing, just like any river, makes it hard to get a good accurate measurement too, because you can go out 1 week and measure it, and then the next week or month or 2 months later, that area where you measured, now all of that ice is shifted downstream, so to speak, of the glacier, and so they're really fascinating to watch, and yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Right.
Like,
so, yeah, because I think if I hear you correctly, you're saying from your perspective, things are growing, things are shrinking, and that's the way we've kind of always had it.
right.
And I think there is some change, and I think there's probably a little more rapid than maybe that in different parts, but we're still getting tons of snow. I mean,
Right.
we're getting those. So, and that's what I think they were saying. Like some places are getting more snow, some places are getting less. It's more tropic. I think it's happening. I'm not a scientist. I don't know what
Right.
to do.
And
I hate to sound stupid in it, but I just,
yeah, and that's the thing. It's hard to say, hard to tell. We're basing a lot of theories on, over the far expanse of time. We're basing a lot of theories on an extremely small window that we have credible measurements or accurate measurements of, whether it's snowfall or temperatures or anything like that. So like the Portage Glacier, that's a glacier that it has receded fairly dramatically, because that whole lake used to be covered by the glacier probably back in the late 1800s.
right.
But part of the reason that one receded so fast is that lake is 600 something feet deep. And so as soon as a glacier is not connected to solid ground, it recedes really, really rapidly anyway, because there's nothing to keep it stable, to keep it together, so to speak, because it's a river of ice, but it has to have something to flow on top of, or it just starts to fall apart. And so, yeah, it's interesting that way. In fact, the other glacier, it's not too far from here, is the Matanuska Glacier, is one that's kind of, well, they say right now it's, what do they call it, stagnant, or it's not growing, it's not receding, it's just kind of there, which is weird, because they're not really just there, like they're always moving. But that glacier has from time to time grown out down the valley in the last 100 years, and then at times it's gone back a little bit. And it just, anytime you think about these sorts of things, there's so many facets to the science of why they are what they are, and even a lot of the reasons we look at glaciers and we know they move, because there's obvious evidence of it.
Right.
But we don't really understand how they move, because, and the best working theory is that because there's so much pressure on the ice, that at that point down low in the bottom, either one, the water from the top is trickling down to the bottom and then lubricating the ice so that it can flow on top of a little bit of water, Or the other theory is that the ice, because it has so much pressure on it down at that point, it essentially becomes a liquid solid and moves on a molecular level downhill because it's, which is mind-boggling, and I don't really understand how it
It
works.
really is. But I think
That's
it's
my understanding
important
so far.
for you to know this since you've decided you're going to go into glaciers.
Right. Yeah.
And you
No, and
need
I
to
do
know
think
a
of
little
that
more
sometimes
about
when
it.
I'm down inside of one. I'm like, yeah, so this is yeah, this would be a really interesting place to be if all of a sudden we heard a lot of big cracking and popping going on. Like, time to head out real fast, and always make sure you got good running shoes on, because you gotta
Right,
move quickly,
right.
baby.
So if you were okay, let me get my thoughts together. So one of the ones you were doing, you were hiking into um into where the cave was, right? You and your friend, am I thinking of the right one? The one with the beard, right?
Yeah,
And
Keith.
you did a lot of shots of you guys walking up through from a quad perspective, a drone perspective, right? How
Yep.
I really like that one. That had
That,
excellent B-roll in
oh
it.
man, that was one of my favorite videos, and that whole trip was a whim. Like, he and I both ended up with a day off because it was like midweek, and we were just kind of driving around like, what are we going to do today? And we went down there, and we didn't know really about any of the ice caves or anything like that up there. We were just going down there, like, hey, there's a trail, let's go and see where it goes. And so I had my iPhone 6 and I had my drone, and that's what we did. And
Oh my
filmed
God.
everything on my iPhone 6 and with the original Mavic Pro. And that video, that's still one of my favorites. Just the way, the music that I found to go with it, and then putting it together, I just, like, I feel like that was
It
just,
was
it's one of my favorites.
gorgeous.
There's one shot that I just kick myself for not getting, and that was when he and I are standing on top of the rocks way up high, and the drone flies over. Is I would have, if I had it to do over, which I can't because that ice cave doesn't exist anymore, but I would have flown the drone over us and then down into that ice cave and then ended the video right there. It would have been great, because that ice cave was huge too. That was,
Well, at one point you did go down on it,
yeah,
and I thought you were going to go in it.
yeah.
So I was waiting. I was like, oh.
Yeah, yeah, it was tempting, but I didn't, and I wish I had now, because it would have been really cool.
So when you first started your channel, you were looking at just vlogging, doing some stuff, and a lot of private for the family, correct?
Yeah, yeah, and that was pretty much my original thought, was just to, put together little short videos of me and the family, because we go hiking to a couple of different places a couple times a year. And just doing that more for my kids to go, have them be able to look back and see their childhood, not really out there for the whole world to see, but just there, so they'd have home movies. And
Right.
it just, so what happened? So, and then I started, the DJI announced the original Mavic Pro.
Right.
And I had been wanting to get a drone, and I almost bought the GoPro Karma. I'm really glad I didn't.
We all are happy you didn't.
Yeah. And,
I don't think we would have had
but I
half
did
the
get the Mavic
footage.
Pro, and I got in on, if you remember when they launched the original Mavic Pro, they way underestimated how many they needed for how many orders they got. And so they only had like 100,000 ready to go, and they got, 1.2 million worth of orders or something in the first day. And so I happened to get in on the first run of 100,000 that they shipped out. And so then there was tons of people asking questions about it. So I was like, well, I might as well like post videos about, if you can put the iPad mini into the controller arms, which you can without an adapter, and did that. And then doing videos about, flying it up around the mountains just so people could see footage and stuff like that. And that's kind of where my whole YouTube channel got started and going, was just because I happened to get one of the original Mavic Pros, and I posted a few videos about it. So from
Yeah,
there.
'cause I was watching when I looked at your channel. Hold on, let me go back onto the channel so I can see where I was. Because I did sort by instead of new videos. I always go to oldest.
Yeah.
New videos. That way I can make sure I see them. And it was hold on, let me go all the way to the top. So yeah, it was a DJI Mavic Pro controller with the iPad Mini 2. You were pushing it into the corners. And actually, having had a mini iPad Mini, I was really afraid it was going to break because I broke my very first iPad Mini by
Oh
just
yeah.
dropping it. It just shattered. So when you were pushing it up in to make sure it could fit in those corners, I was dying.
Right. Yeah,
I,
because it was a hard push too. And I was when I was doing it, I was like, oh my gosh, I might break this. And like that video especially because I when I made the video, I didn't pull a plastic piece out, the little piece that holds the cable in.
yeah,
And so I left it in there because I was just like I literally ran down to my studio. I was like, hey, this is what you can do. Shoved it there, da, 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 and then posted the video. No editing, no nothing, just threw it together.
yeah.
And so I have like hundreds of comments on there from people going, you can take that plastic piece out. Like, yeah, I'm aware you can take the plastic piece out. Sorry, I didn't put it in my video. So, which is the good and the bad side of YouTube.
Right?
It's yeah, I wish YouTube would make a way for us to be able to like update the video without having to upload a new video and just like switch out the files or something, but
Yeah, they don't let us do anything
they
like
don't
that.
let us do that.
Because I've had quite a few I would love to do that with.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to go say hi to a few people in the chat. Well, everyone, if I could find everyone, I'm going back up. So, Jay Santiago, thank you for coming in. We have Phantom Flight. Hey, Phantom, you guys. This was my only day off. My grandson came over. That's why I wasn't on those guys, or I would have been. Paul Murray was in the house. He might still be in just listening while he's editing. Beyond Trees, Centroid. Hey, Mark. Great flight you guys were doing today, you and Lewis. Ed. Ed is a very good FPV flyer. We got him in here. A lot of our guys are.
Oh.
Nameless Donor, so nice to see you again. Let's see. Beyond Trees. Oh, Rolex drone channel. He evidently is our class clown. I love you, Rolex. Let's see. And do I have Miss Ride or Die, of course. I just adore Miss Ride or Die. Let's see, where are we? Juneau County Droners, Robert Stanton. When Roger can't come in, he usually does my mod for me. And we have Novice Quad, who is also part of those guys. They come on right for me. Let's see. Anybody else? I don't want to miss anyone. I think that's might be that. Yeah. And Happy Lux. Choo choo night train. I didn't see you come in. I'm sorry, darling. I'm sorry. And above you too. Hey, how you guys doing? Phantom Hodges drone. Hi. Hi. Oh, of course. Those guys, Jake, I don't know. I think you probably know. But they come on at 5 o'clock Eastern, right before me on Sundays, and then 5 o'clock Eastern on Phantom Flight 101. They go there on Wednesday. Got y'all. And of course, Night Train's on his FPV channel is on Thursdays.
Okay.
No, you don't, Ed. No, you don't. And Furball, he's part of Canadian Drone Hub, Furball FPV. Yeah. Okay. Just introducing y'all to Jake. If you don't have Jake's channel, I'm going to say go look at it because it is an excellent channel. You know what else I like about your channel is that you talk about cinematography, videography.
Right.
You talk about this is what you have to do to get this. These are some of the products that I'm just going to review them for you. And they're not always the lower end. They're kind of that mid-range and upper end. But a lot of this stuff is expensive. It's expensive to be really good.
Oh man, yeah. It's you know, and that's the sad thing is, you like, the sky's the limit. I mean, you could spend ungodly amounts of money really fast if you wanted to. On the other hand, like, I'm a big fan of you know, if you can spend $50 and not have to spend $1,000, but the $50 product will do, you know, 90% of what the $1,000 product will do, then I'm all about using the $50 product. I mean, this little guy here, um, my little trusty Rode Video Micro,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's a $59 microphone, and I have used this up until like 2 months ago. This was everything. I used it on commercial stuff. I used it for all my YouTube videos, pretty much. It's, you know, and it's a $59 microphone. Now, you know, now I have more expensive microphones, but 90% of the time that thing was great. And
So now it must have got replaced because you're saying was.
well, I still use this a lot. Now I use for some stuff, or for most stuff, I use this, which is the D3 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, that's upside down. Here, let me right size it for you.
Yeah, that makes it a little easier to read.
And that's you know, that's a $200 microphone, which is a great microphone. There's a few more options, a few more niceties, I guess. But you know, for except for like higher winds and maybe having a little more control over like how loud or how quiet the sound is, the Rode Video Micro still does fantastic. And the only reason I stepped up to the DD was needing a little bit more control on my commercial stuff, my commercial work, and just being able to, you know, finesse the amount of volume, the amount of input I'm getting from the microphone with different people, because some people talk really, really quiet, some people talk really, really loud. And
right.
So being able to do that when I'm filming rather than having to work on it that much more in post is a little bit nicer. You know, and when it comes to microphones, especially, I'm a little bit of a snob because I used to be a recording engineer and producer. And so I've used everything from, you know, $50 microphones to $18,000 microphones. And I hear the differences really well. But at the same time, you know, there's definitely this thing of you can buy a piece of equipment that will, you know, drastically improve from, say, this phone in all situations. But then you can, you know, and that might be you know, say up to $1,000 for a camera with better lenses or something like that. So it's going to be better in low light, things of that nature. Or you can spend $10,000 for a camera that, you know, going from the phone to that first camera is like a big jump in quality and ability. But going from that camera, which is say $1,000, to a $10,000 camera, you really only gain about this much more quality. And so, you know, now if you're in the right situations where you're producing commercials for Mercedes-Benz or you're working for National Geographic, they're going to require you to have those $10,000 cameras or $50,000 cameras or $100,000 cameras, which I don't have any of. But you know, they have specific reasons for that. For YouTube, I mean, honestly, man, what phones are shooting now, like the newer Pixel, of course, phones are now running about $1,000 too, so that's not really helpful. But
they really
most phones shoot fantastic video in almost every situation until you start getting into low light, and then that's where they have a lot harder time. And that's, I mean, that's really probably the only reason I use some of the bigger cameras for my YouTube stuff is just that I end up in a lot of low light situations, either because it's wintertime and we don't have a lot of light, or I'm crawling around in some ice cave somewhere where there is no light, and all I have is a little flashlight with me to light things up. That, you know,
so
low light performance.
So let's talk about that just for a minute. Then I want to go back to the microphone.
Okay.
So when you're in that cave and you're in low light,
yeah,
what do you use for those pictures?
So for all of that stuff, I used a Sony A7 III. that's kind of my go-to camera right now. It's super versatile. It's lightweight, which is another big requirement for me for what I'm doing. Is like everything has to be fairly small, fairly portable, really capable, and really light. Because I don't, I try and keep my backpack as light as possible, and especially if I'm kayaking or doing a small airplanes or helicopters out to a location, weight is huge issue, and so we have to really make sure that whatever I have is like the most amount of capability for the least amount of weight possible. And the Sony mirrorless cameras they're fantastic for that right now. I used to shoot Canon for a long, long time, and I love Canon. I still love Canon, but they're bigger and they have less capability than Sony does, for the most part, which I think is
unfortunate. I have an SL2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it is bigger. I have a tripod, but I'm not going to carry it around.
Yeah. Right. And that's the thing. Like I have a big, huge, professional tripod, video fluid head and all that. But anytime I'm going out and about, I always grab I don't know where it is, well, half the time it's this little thing, the Joby Gorilla Pod.
Right.
And then I have a little Manfrotto travel tripod that's about this big, and it's like a pound. It's not the best tripod in the world, but for what I'm doing, it is the best. And
well, I think if you're hiking up a side of a mountain or hiking through the snow, which I've seen you do now, because I watched all those videos, you don't want a whole bunch of weight on your back.
No, you really don't. And my other consideration for everything I'm doing is if everything goes really, really badly, I want to lose the least amount of investment possible.
Right.
And get out with my life. Because basically, like, if it comes between equipment and me, the equipment's the last thing on my mind. It's
right.
Safety first, stuff later. And so a lot of times, like if the weather's not going to be great, I am not going to be insanely upset that I lost, or a $50 microphone got broken or destroyed or lost or whatever, just because that's easier to replace than a $1,000 microphone or a $2,000 microphone. And so that's a lot of it for me too, is going, okay, if I'm taking this stuff out into these places that are extreme, there is a chance that some of it might not come back in one piece.
Right.
It just might not. And so I think about that when I'm packing up. What am I taking and why? And do I really need it for weight? And then, how durable is it, and how sad am I going to be if it doesn't come back with me?
I think I'd be very sad if I lost all your equipment.
Oh yeah. And there's been a few times where we're hiking up in some place way, way up in the mountains, and then, inevitably somebody slips and goes skiing down the mountain unintentionally. And, at that point, everything in your backpack and you were up for grabs on hopefully making it to the bottom in one piece.
Right.
So it's, yeah.
So, let's see, above you two, thank you. And Novice God says, come on, Jake Sloan. You would take at least a few SD cards first before running for your life.
Oh, I might go back for the SD cards, because those SD cards will be there for a while and they'll survive a lot of stuff.
Go back.
But yeah, no, and Novice, no kidding, that when I've been down inside of those ice caves, especially in those places, the thought always runs through my head, okay, if I've got to make a split exit, the one thing I'm going to grab is,
right?
Because I want that out with me if at all possible. And so it's usually, my Sony camera that I'm filming everything on. Like, I'm grabbing that thing as fat and just splitting for it. I don't care if the lens doesn't make it out or whatever, but I want the body and I want the SD cards. And mostly it's because I want the SD cards to have whatever we're filming.
Oh, hey, Corey, man. He's an IT guy. He's very smart. So let me ask you this question. Animals in Alaska.
Yeah.
You have like grizzly bears?
Oh, yeah.
You have brown bears?
Yep.
Or black bears? Do you have polar bears?
Yes. But polar bears are much more north of us.
Okay.
They're
so they're
way
not
above the Arctic Circle. So
okay.
Let's see. I might actually have a trip to work for a company to put together some video later this year up above the Arctic Circle. But and so I'll say that on the scale of scary, black bears, I hate black bears the most because they will eat anything, dead, alive, it doesn't matter. They will eat anything, and they're everywhere around here. Brown bears, they're a little more I don't want to say trustworthy, but they prefer they prefer their food alive, and for the most part, they tend to leave people alone. But and brown bears and grizzly bears are, you know, they're the same bear, they just depending on where they live. And so down on Kodiak, you have the largest brown bears in the world because they eat primarily all protein, tons of fish, and whereas you go up into Denali National Park, you have brown bears, grizzly bears up there that are considerably smaller because all they have to eat up there is a little bit of salmon run that make it up the rivers, and then squirrels and mice and rats, and well, not rats, but squirrels and mice and gophers, and so they're smaller. Polar bears will eat everything. Like if you're up there, they are the apex predator on the ice up above the Arctic Circle. Like they have no issue eating, and they are huge bears. They're just.
Well, and all they have is ice to eat. That's all that's up there, right?
So yeah, so they're used to hunting seals in the ice flow, you know, and a human is roughly the same size as a seal. So you're on the menu up there if you're. So you've got to really be careful of the polar bears.
So how about the grizzly bears around your house?
So that, to me, that more depends on the time of year. In the spring, they're hungry. They're a little more desperate for food because they've been hibernating all winter. So I'm cautious, especially when they start coming out of their hibernation in the spring, because they're angry and they're hungry. As the year goes later on, you need to be careful, especially if you see cubs around at all, because the mothers get super protective of their cubs. And so you want to stay where you can kind of see around you. You know, I don't go tromping through brush, just headlong through brush, because you never know what you're going to find. And then as the year goes on, like toward fall, they've had a whole summer of fish running the rivers, so they're pretty happy and they're fat. And they're a little less angry.
So you're in the spring now,
right?
And they're hungry. Are you still? But you do hiking all spring long.
Oh yeah, I do, and I just make sure I have some bear deterrent. I mean, a gun, pistol with me.
Okay, so I'm thinking pistol, like my 45, and I'm thinking grizzly bear.
Well, so
I don't think that would stop a
45 is good.
grizzly.
A 10mm is good. A 9mm won't do much. And anything smaller than a 9mm, you're basically just good luck. You know, but a 45 and a 10mm is a pretty good handgun for a bear. My favorite handgun, not handgun, my favorite weapon for a bear, and I say favorite, not like I don't hunt bear or anything like that, but for bear deterrent is actually a 12-gauge shotgun that has a slug alternated with birdshot every other round. Mm-hmm. Because it's powerful, and then it also does enough damage that it'll stop a bear. I know people personally that have shot a bear that was charging them with a 30-06 or some other high-powered hunting rifles, and the bears, because they have so much adrenaline when they're running and they're moving at 50 miles an hour, by the time the bear died, they had actually already were on top of the person who shot him. There's lots of bear tales up here for just,
it's really, it's wilderness.
Yeah,
really. And that's
very, very much wilderness up here. And that's the interesting thing about Alaska. I live in the biggest city in Alaska, which relative to other states is basically a small city because we only have about 300,000 people in Anchorage. But it's still very wilderness. If you go 5 minutes in any direction outside of the city, you are in bear territory. And even we have a park that's a block from our house, and I have to train my kids. Like, if you see a moose or you see a bear, You just have to leave immediately. You can't stay down there because we do have bear wander through the city, and moose wander through the city too. And actually, bears aside, because they are more of a predatory animal, or we think of them more as a predatory animal, and they are. The moose up here are far more deadly than any bear, because moose attack for absolutely no reason, and they will go after something or somebody until they're positive that it's dead by stomping. And a moose at 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 pounds, and if they can move, they're 8, 9, 10 feet tall. They can move fast, and you can't outrun them, and they're very powerful.
We have moose up in our mountains here. I live in Idaho, and they're practically blind moose.
Yeah.
So they don't know what's around them. They just get scared and they go after it and they take care of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're always told to be really careful if we see a moose.
Yeah, they're extremely aggressive defensive animals. Like it's defense for them, but it's super aggressive defense.
Yeah. Okay, let me see. I'm safe from bears. They take one look at me. Imagine me.
Call that another calculated risk.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because that would be another calculated risk, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And for me, I in my 20s, I did lots of bear viewing tours, guiding bear viewing trips. And so I had lots of experience with bears, lots of close encounters with bears. And for the most part, bears, you can, they're not, they're obvious with their body language what they're going to do. If they're being aggressive for the sake of being aggressive, or if they're just testing kind of the limits, or if they just don't even care you're there and they're just going to ignore you, like you're just not even there. Where moose can just come out of nowhere and go after you. And in fact, I had a friend that when we were 18, we rebuilt his little Subaru station wagon, got it running. And first day we took it down for a test drive. We're driving down a little road. And in the winter, because the snow berms get piled up, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 feet high on the sides of the road, the moose like to walk in the road because there's no snow. So it's easier for them to walk. And so the moose, or this moose particularly, it was a bull, came out of one of the side roads and just rammed his car into the snowbank, and then proceeded to just stomp it to pieces. And so he and I both got out the back and ran, but they destroyed his car, just completely totaled it.
Oh, I can't spell now.
Hey, Jay.
Jay, sorry, the U has an 8 in it.
Furball says moose are nuts. They are. They really are nuts.
They are. And
especially in the late winter, early spring, they get really ornery because all they've had to eat is tree bark and sticks. So they're really...
I'd be ornery too. I'm just saying. Doesn't sound good. Oh my gosh. Love my drones. So when you're out in one of yours, I think it was last year in March when you were going, you were talking about bear, and you go, well, did you bring any bear deterrent or something to your friend? And he goes, I have a knife.
Yeah.
I thought, no, honey, no.
Well, so that actually that trip, I think that was in December.
Okay.
That trip. So the bear were hibernating by then, and a lot of times, I mean, I live in Alaska, and it's fun to play with people as far as what they think of Alaska, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people, are convinced that I drive a dog sled to work and I live in an igloo because that's Alaska. What it's not true at all. But so sometimes I'll throw stuff like that in there just because it's fun and it's funny and entertaining.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe you said that, because I pictured in my head DiCaprio when he was attacked by that bear in that one movie. Redemption, I forgot what it was called, but the knife would not help with that bear.
No, and I mean, honestly, a knife a knife on a bear is going to be like a bee sting. It just you got to get through that much fur to even get to their skin, and
yeah, it would not have helped. I
yeah.
could just see them flinging him around. I was like, mm-mm. It was kind of funny, but yeah. So talk to me about some of the reviews that you're doing. So you review Mike's cameras. I think did you do the action? You did
Yep.
one where you were showing the different low light and how it curves the trees when you
Yeah.
walk to a certain thing. And was it the Hero 7 in the action, the Osmo action?
Yeah, so I've got the Osmo Action, and then the GoPro Hero 7 Black, and then my trusty old Sony X3000 action
Yes,
camera.
yes.
That it's like, well, I mean, action cameras. Everybody's trying to win the action camera game now, and so I did a test between all three of them. The action, I like certain things about the action, but it still, to me, feels like very much like a first generation product. Like they've got some kinks to work out. They've got a few things they need to change. A lot of those things I think they could probably just do with a firmware update. And so I've been in touch with DJI support, talking to them about a few of the issues that they need to look at, and they're aware of a couple of them already, but they're working through on a couple of the other ones. Whereas the GoPro, like you can tell as far as from a user standpoint, they've been around for a long time. Their image quality and stuff like that is really great. At the same time, a good friend of mine used to be one of the main engineers for GoPro. They haven't really innovated in the last 5 or 6 years. And I think it's largely because they haven't really had any real competition yet. And now they do, which is good, because that means they're going to have to innovate, which is good for us as users, because, we get the benefit of price wars and innovation. And then oddly enough, the Sony Action Cam that I've had for 3 years now, this thing, it still is holding its own compared to these other two cameras. Sony did a really great job with it. And I still use it a lot. If I'm going out in really, really bad weather, I'll grab the GoPro because it's a little more robust that way for weather wise. But anything else, I usually still use the Sony because it is great image quality, really good stabilization, and it just is better low light performance by far than the other cameras. And it's really great.
Yeah. Okay, Roger, go get your coffee. Yes, of course. So when I was watching that video, I kept thinking, I'm not sold on the action. I thought I have a GoPro 5.
Okay.
And I don't have the 7 with the stability extra, whatever, right?
Right.
But I did think the 7 looked really weird, looked really good, except for some of the bendy trees.
Right. Yeah.
Which that fisheye thing has been a problem they've been having, right?
Right.
So, how is the video stability on the Sony to the GoPro 7? That is coming from Novice.
It's really close. So the difference between the two is, GoPro is all electronic, and so it's an algorithm basically that runs the footage through it, and it analyzes it, stabilizes it. Whereas the Sony has an actual lens system built in here that physically stabilizes the image, as well as a little bit of electronic stabilization. So the Sony, it's not as stable as the GoPro, but it has a really nice natural feel to the way it stabilizes the image, and it's really close. It's not like night or day difference. So the problem with using all electronic image stabilization is that it's, at least I assume, because nobody will confirm or deny it. It's probably some trade secret, but I assume that it's based on the algorithm is looking at areas of high contrast, so really, really sharp contrast between a light and a dark area, and using that as a point of reference to stabilize the footage. But then as soon as you get into low light, there's no contrast. and it
Right.
doesn't really have the ability to find something to kind of use as its point of reference. Whereas the Sony, because it's not actually using electronic stabilization, it's using a motion-based stabilization. It just keeps on stabilizing really, really well. And GoPro, as far as I know, GoPro still uses Sony sensors, or at least they did up until the Hero 7. But the low light performance on the Sony is better than any of the other action cameras out there. It has less noise, and however they do process the noise, it's a little nicer looking, which is weird, but it's crazy because Sony put that camera out 3 years ago, and it still is holding its own against cameras that are 3 years newer than that.
Which is saying a lot, because I think you're right. When I went from a Hero 1 to Hero 2, didn't see a whole lot of difference, right?
Yeah.
Then I went up to Hero 5, and while I know there's a difference as far as the quality was still there. I could see the back, right? They had a screen and all that, but I wasn't sure it made such leaps and bounds that it was worth spending another $400 at the time.
Right.
And I didn't spend it. My friend got it and didn't want to use it, so I just kind of confiscated it. And then I sent my other two out. And I didn't feel bad giving my old equipment, the two other Heroes out, because the quality of them was still so good.
Right. Yeah,
But
and that's the thing, that apart from the the kind of warped, which is the nature of the real super wide angle view, the image quality on GoPro is fantastic when you're in good light.
good light, yes.
The only thing I don't like about the GoPro that the Sony still does much better at, in my opinion, is the colors on Sony look really natural, at least on this one. Whereas the GoPro's kind of always done this a little bit oversaturated, because especially outside and in bright sunlight, it looks incredible. And so for the right settings, GoPro is great. But for talking head stuff where you're looking at skin, this is a little better, because GoPro tends to make you a little bit on the orange side, like you've had a really bad fake tan.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Though sometimes I wouldn't mind having a tan. I just don't. It's been a long winter.
Yeah. About March or so, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for a lot of sunshine right now. I really want some sunshine.
Right. Okay, let's see. I was just checking the channel. Hi, Kaya Smile TV. How are you doing? I just want to let you know there are a few rules on this channel. When people come in new, no politics, no religion, anything that divides us, we just don't really go into. And we're just respectful to everyone in here. And if Roger were here, I'd have him say, because he's got him down. Oh, Miss Ryder Die. Thank Jake. I'm just so happy he came on. Because like I said, I'm such a fangirl, because I love the stuff you're doing. So when you're talking the cameras, I think that's right. I think that's right. Because I notice that sometimes when I'm out, I can just look almost ghostly.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't want to look like a ghost, but that can be true. But even in this room, I was watching your video on lighting. And the only thing I'm going to say about that video, can I critique a video? Would you mind? Yeah. Okay. The only thing was, you never showed exactly where you set everything.
Right. And I actually need to, I want to do another follow-up video to that and do more in-depth talking about lighting and showing, because let's see, right now I've got this key light right here, which is the main light, and then I've got a secondary light over here, but and then the light up behind me. And there's there's a lot of different places you can put a key light, and really only need one good light if you're okay with that. And but you can do it so many different ways depending on the look. If you want to be like dark and moody, or you want to be really bright and happy, or like beauty channels, like they want tons of even light around their entire face so that they can really showcase their stuff. But and so I need to do a follow-up video to that and go more in depth. One, on the different types of light you can use, and then the different places you can place it for the type of mood you want to set for your videos. Most stuff like this, you obviously want pretty good lighting, just pretty overall, fairly good, even lighting on most of the places, unless you're like telling a really dramatic story and you want to like scare people or something like that.
Right.
You get lots of shadows. And
so what I ended up getting was 2 softbox lights.
Yeah.
And that's what I use, because if I don't, I look kind of fuzzy, and it's kind of camera has a harder time.
Right. Oh, so which camera are you using right now?
I'm just using a webcam, the Logitech 922.
Yeah. So one thing about smaller sensors on cameras, like whether it's on a phone or a webcam or GoPros or anything like that, the what do they say? Brighter pixels are happier pixels, or something like that. The saying is like, and so the smaller the sensor gets, the smaller the pixels gets, and the more light they need to do their job well. And so the more light you have, the better things are going to look. To a point, I mean, you can blow it out and wash it out to where everything looks like white fuzz, like.
That happened to me the other day because I was somewhere else and I just kind of blended into the background. I thought, well, this is a scary picture, but I didn't have a choice because where I was.
Right.
Like, no, I do not like this whole look. That's not good. So what camera do you use when you are on?
So right now I'm using my Sony a7 III, and I come out of the HDMI out into a little converter and do that. Before, whenever I did live streams and stuff, because I usually live stream on like Saturday about midday East Coast time. A lot of times I would just use my phone just because it's super easy and super simple. But a lot of it depends on the environment I'm in. If it's well lit, then the phone is fine. But if I'm doing more this type stuff or other stuff, then I usually use my Sony.
See, I was going to use my SLR. I have a Camlink, which same thing, kind of puts it in there so you can get it. And the reason why I didn't was it showed everything. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. So there's a good side and a downside of having a really great camera.
I look much better with a little bit of not so much.
Right. Exactly.
I was like, oh, yeah. So, yeah, I'd have to put the camera further back, I think, because it would be, though I do use it in any of my videos where I'm doing some kind of cooking or doing something like that. I use it.
Right.
But okay, so the next lighting when you do, my request is that you kind of delve into where you set them and why. And the backlight, the one you said with about kind of like the halo thing, where you set that, and if you did that, because I watched that whole video, and I kind of got a little bit more of an idea, but I need, I
definitely.
If you're gonna do
that's kind of what I want to do with my channel is, I love doing product reviews that are out in these amazing places, just because I think it's different. I mean, there's a ton of product reviews on YouTube, and so going outside and showing the product, out in the mountains or something like that is something that's fun. Or old abandoned gold mine.
That was a good one too.
That sort of thing. But I want to do more, and I'm starting to work on now, at least the videos that are coming on more say training or teaching, just showing the how to do better video, better photography or whatever, but also especially with a focus on like with a minimum amount of money that you don't have to spend $5,000 or $10,000 to do this and do it well. If you know a few tricks, you can you can get away with a lot less. And
Yeah, like Night Train said, he goes, Jake Sloan, when you agree, I think that's the wording he used, that you have to make the most of what you have.
yeah. Yeah,
Right.
and that's the thing. Like lots of people want to start doing stuff on YouTube, and they're like, "Well, I have to wait till I get this. I have to wait till I get that." You really don't. You can do it with, you can do it if you have a big window that lots of light comes through. Put a white shower curtain over the window so you don't get that direct harsh sunlight, and then stand next to the near the window. That's great light, and it'll be good. Now you get to think about what's in the background. So if you have a dedicated corner of the house that stays relatively clean and tidy, that helps. But
Yeah,
or maybe it'll help you get your house clean and tidy. I don't know.
You can't mess up the wall.
Right.
But I would never want you to stop doing those videos that you do of being out in the frontier, more in the wilderness.
Right.
I mean, those are beyond stunning. But I would like to know the B-roll that you have. I just think it's absolutely stellar. And I would love to be able to do something like that. But I guess I would have to get out and hike or something. And I'm like, I used to do it all the time. I'd wear a backpack, I'd go up, I'd set up a tent. But now
It's and I'll say it definitely doesn't get easier. Like it's a challenge every time, and even for me, I do it pretty regularly. But Anchorage is just above sea level, and then I'm going out and hitting these mountains that are 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 feet high, and then I'm always like, why am I so out of breath? Good Lord! I mean, I exercise pretty regularly. I do this kind of stuff pretty regularly. What is the deal? And I realized, well, yeah, you live at sea level, and then you're out here just running up the mountainside. And you're not funny anymore, so you have to.
A few times in your videos, especially today, because I was watching a lot of them in a row. You were saying, "Boy, I need to start running. I hate running, but I need to run."
Yeah, and I do. I run a few times a week, and then do the other stuff I'm doing a few times a week too, and. But I honestly, I just at this point I'm like, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to help anyway, just because I'm mostly at sea level, and then here and there I decide to go run up a mountainside and quote unquote run up. And I just it's the way it is. Your body, when your body's acclimated to sea level, it's a lot harder to just go up in altitude that extreme that fast.
So if you were, I did that. Love my drones. I had my desk in a different direction, but I hadn't put the plate for my light switch on. So every time I went on, I slowly kept moving my desk. And then it goes, you moved your desk, so I wouldn't be able to complain about that. I was like, yeah, what's your point?
Right. Yeah, it's well, and even like this space that I'm in here, like this was a dramatically different space 6 months ago, and it's not finished now. We've got a relatively clean shot at two different angles, this angle and the other angle, but there's a whole lot of parts in the room that are just not pleasant to look at. And
right, kind of like my studio here.
Yeah.
So when you get ready to go out and do some actual footage, what's in your backpack?
I keep thinking about doing a what's in my bag video, but then it seems like I feel like everybody does what's in my bag videos, and I feel like the what's in my bag videos half the time are just to be able to list a bunch of affiliate links in the description and get people to go buy stuff. Which,
right.
I mean, it helps to be able to make more content possible, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, you're doing it. You just did it.
So this would be my thing where I would like to know. So all of a sudden, someone calls you up and they say, "Hey, we're going to go hit this glacier. Let's go."
Right.
Do you have a bag already packed and ready?
Yes, I have.
That's what I want to know. What's in that?
My backpack that I primarily pretty much just keep everything all the time ready to go for the most part. So the only thing I'd have to do, like in this case, is grab my Sony, throw it in the bag, and then I'd be ready to go. So in that, I will usually have the GoPro and my Sony. I'll have this lens here, which I need to do a review of, is the Sony 85. It's a
Wow.
great picture. I mean, it's good for video too, but it's really great for photos. And then I'll usually have this lens, which is a really wide angle lens, but it has no distortion, so there's no curving to anything. It keeps all the lines nice and straight. The Sony, I'll have this along with my other microphone as a backup. What else is in there? The drone, 2 extra batteries, the controller. I usually just use my phone and the controller when I'm out running around. I'll have like a few different miscellaneous cables, some cleaning cloths and stuff like that, and a couple of little lights in case we're going to go somewhere dark, and I think that's about it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I might have a few other little odds and ends in there too, just depending on what we're going to go and do. I might grab, something special or something specific to that place. So,
because I think that's important to make sure, and I do know that a lot of people do those for affiliate links. I'm part of the Amazon whatever affiliate, whatever the hell.
yeah.
I think I sold, like, someone bought a cookbook that I showed. I don't do enough reviews to make it. They keep throwing me out, and then I just keep reapplying because maybe one day I'll do reviews.
Right.
But I tell people what I love. Like, I have my Yeti mic, my blue mic. I love this mic. I got it for Mom's Day. So something I use. But if you review a lot of stuff that you'll never use ever in your lifetime, that's when I start thinking,
Right. And actually I'm sorry, I'll have to wrap it up on my end. There's a family thing I totally forgot about.
Oh, sorry.
But that's why in my videos, no, I'm sorry too. I didn't think about it until my wife just popped her head in here and reminded me. But even in me doing reviews, like I get enough emails where people want to send me something to review. Sometimes it's pink slippers and they've nothing to do with anything I do. So that's an obvious, like, no, I'm not doing that.
Though I would like.
Even then, I've kind of I've gone around the route of just going, no, I'm not taking free products for reviews. If I'm going to buy something and use it, and then I'll review it because I use it regularly and I really do like see the value in it, I'll do a review on that product because it's something I use and it's a valuable piece of equipment for me. It might not be for everybody, but even in the review videos, like I used to, they always say, this is the best practice for YouTube and you got to do this and that. And everyone's like, well, you got to tell people there are links in the description. And I'm like, do you really have to tell people that? Like, I think they've got the idea now. And then there are links in my description, but at the same time, like I stopped saying it because I just, I'm like, I don't want to feel like a used car salesman, for lack of a better term. Not that that's bad, but I don't want to just be like, hey, I'm reviewing this product and it's the best and you should go buy it because it gives me a commission. I don't ever use this again after I'm done with the review here. But yeah, so I've kind of been going through my bag of stuff that I take with me everywhere and going, yeah, I'm going to review this because, like this lens, I'm going to do a review on this pretty soon because it's far from the most expensive Sony lens out there, but it has some of the best image quality of any of the Sony lenses out there, including the Grandmasters, which are all multiple thousands of dollars. But this, you can find it on sale for $500-ish. But the image quality out of this thing is just phenomenal. So I do a review on that, and
Can I ask you one more question? I know you have to go.
Yeah.
I want to be really respectful of that. But you have your 107, right?
Yes.
Well, how long have you had that?
Not as long as most people think. I didn't really monetize my YouTube channel until late last year because I got it like October of last year or something.
Okay.
So somewhere in there. I don't remember exactly because you get it and then there's like a month or 60 days between when you actually pass the test and you have your temporary and then you actually get the hard copy in the mail. So I
Why?
waited a little longer than I should have, or not that I should have, but that I wanted to. I wanted to get it earlier on, but it just the way things were going with my work and life, I didn't have the chance to up until then. So then I was finally able to hunker
So
down.
why did you feel like you needed it?
Well, because I'm definitely moving more into commercial video production. And then not only that, but I'd had enough interaction with people as far as some of the drone footage I had already put out there on YouTube, where people were asking if I would sell them a certain piece of footage, or a company would approach me and ask me if they could use a certain piece of footage, and having to go, yeah, you can't, because I didn't do it for commercial purpose, and so that I really should get it, because I'm getting enough really good drone footage that I could probably put it out there on stock footage sites or work for companies and as a commercial drone pilot too. And so that was the biggest reason I got it, is knowing that was the direction I wanted to do, more commercial video work, and definitely want drone video to be part of that. So.
Yeah, I think that's great. So some of the work, when you say you're going to go out and do work, it's doing work for companies where there's photography. Then.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's see, back from the sky, you can't imagine somebody from the FAA going through all the YouTube channels. Yeah, they're being pretty lenient right now. I'm trying to get a guy from the FAA to come on my channel with me and talk through the rules for hobbyists and 107, and to just have a little discussion about that. So we'll see if that happens in the next couple of weeks. But because all that is changing too. All the hobbyist rules are changing, and they're going to change a lot this year. And I'm sure at some point the Part 107 rules will adjust a little bit as well. But one thing's for sure: drones are here to stay. They're not going to go away. And so now it's more of the government, the local, the national government entities, and everybody kind of figuring out how drones can fit into our everyday lives now, because they're going to be here. Obviously, with Amazon starting up drone delivery here pretty soon, it's
right. There's a lot of stuff to do.
I'm waiting for the first YouTube video of somebody ordering a drone from Amazon to be delivered by drone on their front.
Right. I know Kim's keeps saying, I'm going to order a bowling ball. I wanted to come by drone. Hey, Jake, thank you so much for coming in and doing this. I still have a million questions.
Hey, I'd love to try and do it again. I know next weekend I'm out of town. I won't have any sort of connection and stuff like that, but I'd love to come on again and chat with you. It's been fun.
Oh, very good, because I've so enjoyed it. I have so much more I need to know.
Absolutely.
I just want to know everything.
For sure.
Okay, take care, Jake.
Tell you what, thank you so much for letting us.
Everybody.
You be safe there, Jake.
Okay, bye, Jake. Oh my God, Roger, wasn't that nice?
Yep. Very interesting.
Oh my gosh. I'm such a fan of his. He reminds me also of like Jagger Scott and some of his video.
Yeah.
That whole way of coming in, but like another Peter McKenna, but maybe it's just beautiful. I just love it. So.
Yeah, I'm getting hammered on by I love my drones. It's okay. I'm used to them.
How are you going to put Roger's head as an address? Oh my God. I'm going to apply for a job, YouTube 107 police watcher. There you go. Back from the sky. No, I really do know why he's saying he had to have his 107, because his footage is phenomenal. I could see people calling him and asking to buy it. Yeah, we do have fun with Roger. We do. I laughed while I say that. It almost sounds ridiculous. But if I were better at what I do, I would get the one of. I keep thinking I should do it while I can, but I think there's so much I want to do. So much in my head what I think I want to do. And the more and more and more I work, the less I have time to do that stuff.
Yeah.
But I used to love to hike
Mm-hmm.
in the mountains and do all that. I did, Roger.
Oh, this is what YouTube does to you.
YouTube, it's working. It's doing all the stuff that life brings. Thank you, Beyond Trees. Thank you so much. This was a fun one. Can actually see Roger's window for once. Right, sun coming in, right? Hey, Michael Bainey, how are you doing? Jake is cool. Plus, he has a cool country singer name. He does. He does, Mike Roach. Jake seems very cool. Hell, everyone here is cool, but obviously Jake is an awesome creator. He is an awesome creator. But it does bring to mind, we have a lot of people who do Brother Edward sent link in Messenger. What are you linking to? Joan Pool? Joan Pool, what you doing?
Read the chat.
Huh?
Read the chat.
I was trying to, but it was hard.
Hey, Michael, yeah, you're lucky you're flying most of the day. I was going to go fly after supper, but we didn't. But tomorrow I'll be flying.
Send me a link so I can be the first. The first what? Okay, no, 4S flight went well. It's uploaded to private. I'll make it public in a few days. Oh, okay.
Hello, Val's Life. We got one of your friends in the chat today.
Get one of your friends in the chat today. Who'd you get, Phantom? Oh. Never mind. I guess I don't understand the connection of being able to make money in the 107 license. If you fly a drone and you make money from that flight, it's like, then you have to have a 107 or they can fine you a lot of money. Think about doing a premiere, Dan. Timing can be tough, though. Yeah. I'm sorry I couldn't come on Phantom Flight 101. I was really missing being on with you guys. I mean, I really like going on. So hold on. We got a little bit more time. So let's see if I can do this. Oh, there you are. Oh, you don't know how to do it that way, so I can't do it that way. I got to do it this way, Phantom. Herman. Oh my gosh. So is Robert still here or did he leave?
I don't know.
I'll tell you what. He might be just watching and having some drink. Hey, Herman, I sent you a link if you'd like to come in with Roger and I. That's okay. What's okay? Well, that I understand as far as making money in 107. Just don't understand connection with YouTube. Yeah, no, it's okay. This is my understanding. It's just my understanding. If you're monetized on YouTube and you make any kind of money on YouTube and you use drones and it's a furtherance of that, then you have to have your 107. That's all. I'm waiting for Dad's latest work. So he's already had that butte from me. So there you go. It's fair to die. Yeah, there's all kinds of things. Hey, Roger, will you take over for a minute?
Oh, you forgot my name?
Yeah, like you did mine. Couldn't believe it. Where's the love? And I sent Herman a link, so I'll be right back.
Okay. Hey, Miss Ryder, hi, how you doing? Phantom Flight 101, back from the sky. There you go. Everybody hit that like button. Drone pools in the house. Love my drones. Mike Roach. Michael Benny. Of course, Furball Kim. Beyond Trees. Hi, everybody. You have another video with over 2,000 views. Oh, cool, Beyond Trees. There we go. Hey, Centroid, how you doing? I have a feeling you have a good sleep tonight after being outdoors all day like that and that kind of weather.
Hello, Val.
Hey, how's it play? Herman, how you doing?
How's it going?
Okay, well, I got to go out and come back because I can't hear Herman.
Oh, okay. Go out and come back. Then you'll hear him. How you doing, Herman?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How was your show? Sorry I missed it.
It was pretty good. No, I was saying that's okay that you missed it. You know, you're always welcome there.
Thank you.
No, we got some guy in tonight that was we were talking about the 107,
Yeah.
and he starts busting on the government this and that and the other, and we just goodbye.
You're right. Right. It's tiring. It's tiring.
It's just starting.
Just starting. Yeah, because all the rules we're having to have, right?
It's just starting. We didn't have this when we first started the live stream. Now they're starting to come. Hey, I guess.
Herman, can you say something?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can't hear him.
Uh-oh.
So one thing you might want to do is unplug and then replug your camera. Are you using your Yeti mic too?
Yeah. Yeah.
You are? Because I don't
Yeah.
see your earphone.
No, I don't know why I don't need them.
Ooh.
You hear that?
I can hear you.
No? Well, I guess it's not my Yeti mic.
Yeah, you're not on your Yeti mic.
Okay, hold on. Speakers, Yellow stereo microphone.
Yeah, it has to say Blue Yeti. That's a good cat fight. Ha ha ha. What do you look? Why are people fighting with cats?
Who?
It
I
says
don't know.
speakers. Yeah, it says speakers, Yeti stereo microphone.
Yeah?
Oh, it's on.
Okay. So go out and come back. But come back, Roger.
Okay.
Couldn't hear anything. What were you doing?
Okay.
Beyond Trees says he loves a good cat fight.
Meow.
Now, when you say cat fight, you mean like cats, or do you mean like cat fight?
Well, that is what a cat fight is with cats.
Mm. Mm.
Oh, here he is. Okay. Roger, do you hear me?
Hi.
Do you hear me? Roger. Oh, man. Roger. Really?
What happened?
Can you unplug your camera and plug it back in, Roger?
Did I do that?
No, this is always Roger. Come in.
You know what it is? It's Hangouts.
Yes. Yes, absolutely it is. It's not Roger, because Roger is good at this. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so we try to make sure when we bring Roger in, he usually comes in, but sometimes it just doesn't work.
Mhm.
Well, I made a comment while you were gone. If you do a makeup YouTube channel, do I need cosmetology license for I can be monetized? Yeah, I don't know. I think if you put a makeup on yourself, I don't think so. But I don't know.
Who's that?
When you get a cosmetology license back from this guy, let me know.
Yes. If you're gonna do makeup, let me.
Where did you go, Phantom? Hold on. Oh, you're just black now. No, now
Wow.
you're on. Now you're on. There you go. No. You blacked out. The screen was black.
Well, you
Roger,
didn't
do you
see
hear
me?
me? I see you now.
I don't hear any. No.
Will you put your earphone in?
Yep.
Put your earphone in. Oh my God. Put your earphone in, Roger. Oh, Crash Force Studios. Hi there, everyone. Hold on. Oh, good. Check you out. So what else were you doing on your live show today? Oh,
We had Paul on there, and one of the guys from NYC 5 Borough Drone Meetups.
yeah.
Talking about he just got his 107, and that's what we were talking about, really, the 107 and getting jobs and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
And
I hear you, Al. I don't hear.
You don't hear Herman?
You don't hear me?
No.
At all?
Okay. So look, I'll let you guys go. I'll stay in the chat.
Okay. Sorry, Roger.
Okay. Bye.
Hi, Crash. Oh, he looks like CeeLo Green. Who? Herman? No. No, he does not.
CeeLo Green is about, what, 5 feet tall?
Yeah. Well, as I gotta say, Beatrice, I've seen your face and you know nothing about cosmetics. That is true. You don't know anything about, I don't think. I haven't seen your face back from the sky, but I'm assuming you don't wear cosmetics. I'm thinking maybe not.
That is funny that you don't have to have a cosmetology license to do that.
Well, because of Mike Roche out there making money to require the license. You know what? I'm going to tell you, every time we talk about the 107, people get very, very upset about having to have that, but it's the rule. So,
Mike, I don't even remember his name. I have to go back and check that out to find out his name. I don't remember. I think it had something to do with a bear or whatever.
Oh, Sleeping Bear?
Was it? I'm not sure.
Might have been Sleeping Bear. He can be contrary sometimes. Sorry, Reginald. Who's Reginald Johnson? Hey, Crash, I'm just going to put you out for a little while because I don't know what you mean by all this. Somebody needs to get one of those hand sign languages. You know what I mean. It's like if they came on and said, hey, you look like Cindy Crawford. I'd be like, no, I do not. Oh, my God.
Yeah, but what's his name there? Jake Sloan? Yeah, I've been watching some of his stuff.
Oh, I love his stuff. Hey, Paul?
What's Paul doing?
Okay. Really? Okay. Thank you, Paul. Okay. I love you. Bye. Yeah, that's who it was.
What happened?
Bear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I just give people timeouts. I'm really pretty random. It's like, yeah, I don't know what you mean, but let's just get out of here. Night Train, FEV, I knew it. He was trolling. Yeah. Crash Force Studios, yeah. Has people on his channels. Didn't look like a bad channel. But he just wasn't gonna have it in here. What do you got all over you, Lily? Okay, so now that I have this different chair, come here, Lily. Now you can see more of my Saint Bernard. She keeps hitting the desk, and so she's gonna knock it over. It's from IKEA. It's not like supersonic desk. Ow, Lily. Sorry. She doesn't know her own strength. No, go. Sorry, Herman. Sorry. Yeah.
How big is she?
Well, she was the runt of her litter. So she's not as big. She's not the 250-pound. She's probably only 120 pounds. Like my husky wolf dogs, they're pretty much the same. And she slobbers on me. She's what they call a dry mouth Saint Bernard. So she doesn't do all the drooling Beethoven does. But yeah, that ain't no lapdog. Let me just tell you, hey, newfound drone. Hey, Bill. She does get on, does a trust fault right over me. So I have to hold her like she's like a little baby. Because she's such a brat. That's an interesting name for sure. Saint Bernard. Yeah, her name's Lillian. Yeah, we got her maybe 2.5, 3 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. How old is she? You know?
Oh, probably now 7. I think she was 4 when we got her. She was pretty mistreated. She ended up being pretty aggressive, kind of like Cujo. And so she went to the rescue, and then she came here, and she's just all calmed down now because we're a pretty laid back family, aren't we, Lillian? And I'm kind of the alpha in the house, so she doesn't have to worry about being that. I take care of things. So because I think that's what was happening. She felt she had to be the protector. And so she got really aggressive with the one family who had her from a pup. And so I take care of my house. So she doesn't have to have all that stress on her. So she doesn't try to eat people anymore. Unless they, unless I don't like them. And then she gets all mad. But can you hear that?
Yeah.
That was my orange soda, my cheap orange soda. I suck at names. I'm doing okay. Hey, Bill, I'm glad you're doing well. So, Herman, you had somebody that wasn't happy on the stream. Was it about the 107?
I guess, because he started talking about the government. Lawrence caught him and timed him out. But I didn't catch it at first. When he mentioned it, I saw it. And then he timed him out right away. Yeah,
I'm going to tell you, a lot of people, the minute that happens, they go to talk about the government doing this, that, or the other. And for my feeling, it's just this rule. And if it gets all political and people it's just too much. I don't want to have my whole day dragged. Oh, call Caesar the dog whisperer. I love my Lillian. She's so sweet. But Crash Force is back. Okay, behave yourself now, Crash Force. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Happy for you, buddy. I'm sorry. It's okay. Soda equals a lot of sugar. Yeah, I drink the diet soda, and that's also not good for you guys. I know that, but at least I'm trying to cut down on caffeine. I drink a lot of coffee. So.
Sometimes I wonder about the coffee, about the soda. They say that it's bad. But I'm like, everybody talks about drinking seltzer, but isn't that carbonated too?
Seltzer, yeah, it is carbonated, and it has, what did they call it? C2, I don't know. But I have a soda machine, so I make my own salsa water when I want.
Soda Stream?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought one of those for my sister because she drinks a lot of salsa.
Does she? So she has a soda stream?
Yeah, I got her one for Christmas.
That was a nice of you.
She buys tons of salsa.
Does she?
Yeah, like she got stock in the company.
Yeah, me too. That's why I just got a soda stream, because I do it too much. I have no problem with the 107 and the government wanting to do it. I just don't connect it with YouTube. That's the issue, 107 FFB. You know what? And I didn't either back from this guy, truly. Because I have a couple drone videos on mine. It wasn't when I was monetized, but I put them up. I didn't think, wow, I'm breaking some rule by showing someone that I fly a drone.
Well,
Right?
the thing is, as far as the government is concerned, if it's for the furtherance of a business, and if you're monetized on YouTube, that's a business. That means you're being paid. And if your thing is your drone video, then you have to have a 107.
Okay, Herman.
Yeah.
Back when this guy says coffee is natural soda, is not coffee come from the ground? Soda comes from hell.
Yeah, but isn't that like part of the ground too?
Yeah. Depends on how far you dig down, right? I thought it was so funny because I think that if you have some drone videos and you just enjoy making them and you put them up and they're monetized and you get some money, I don't think they should be able to say you have to have that 107 as long as you're following the hobby rules. But because they do say it, I think what people worry about is someone coming in and finding them are trying to do something to their channel because they didn't have the 107.
Well, I'll
But
say
I know a lot of flyers that don't have it.
never happened yet.
Has not happened yet. Nope.
No.
And I'm
But
still going to put my
the
stuff
fact
up.
is, you're still in the furtherance of a business.
I know. So what are you going to do, Herman?
That's why I told you that gray area that exists.
We're dancing.
Even if you are monetized, you can still put video up that has drone footage in it. You know, you just can't be on video holding the sticks and showing this drone flying. You know, the video footage can come from anywhere.
I'll just go, look at this drone video I have. I don't know where it came from with my controller in the
Well, you just label somebody, list somebody as the pilot that flew those pictures, those shots.
You know, that's why I think it's so funny because they were going to put up a channel, right? Where you could fly someone else's drone, which wouldn't be right there, right? So do all those pilots have to be 107? Who decide they're in different?
You're talking about Fly There, where you can fly a drone in another location? Yes. Yes, that guy has to be a 107 pilot.
What if they come from China?
Well, whatever it is that they have out there, that's what he has to be out there.
Oh, can you fly for food like a sack of taters? Kim, I'm so going to beat the jujubes out of you.
Well, you say you're going to time out, Kim?
I might. I might. I timed out Roger once.
Isn't that called bartering or whatever?
Bartering. How many times have you seen videos of drones going long distance, which you know people have no line of sight? Why don't they crack down on that more? Well, you know what? I got to tell you that, first of all, I don't know that they know who they are. I think this whole YouTube thing is kind of weird anyway. But I think they should, if that's their deal. I think if you fly and you're safe, you know, but we got a lot of people out there flying crazy.
How many guys have actually flown out of the line of sight? You never flew out of the line of sight?
Well, me personally, I have not, but I fly in my backyard.
A lot of these guys fly out.
I have to get more courage to go out and fly because I want to fly more, but I don't always have the courage to do it. See, so it's not a matter of obeying the law of braking a lot. You just want to bend it a little bit, I suppose.
Show me anybody that's out there doing big things that's not bending the law a little bit.
A little bit. A little bit.
Just a
Well,
little.
I think it's true. You have something that's you can't do and something you can do, and the gray is kind of in the middle that's left open to interpretation. So you'll talk to one person in charge, and they'll say, "Yeah, of course you can do that." Talk to another person, like you're a gal at the park. You can't fly here, right?
Yeah, perfect example, Val. We we do our live stream, right? And UPS and everybody wants to have drone delivery, and you operate drones to do, different things that they want to do. So the FAA says on the Part 107, out of the line of sight is absolutely not prohibited. So how does UPS and these guys get into the drone business and are able to fly out of the line of sight? Well, what category do you fit into? Well, you fit into Part 135, where they're a courier service that actually uses planes. So, yeah, you can fly out of the line of sight.
Right.
So, like I said, it's all a bunch of gray area, and you can bend and bend and bend. Just don't let it break.
Right. Because you don't want that big fine that comes with that bending, right?
Of course not. The FAA bent it for these guys.
I think if you're safe, I don't think you will have a problem. Oh yeah. I think if people fly safely and they do what they do, I don't have a problem with that.
I think the best thing to have is a spotter.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in places like here in New York, and you might go out and you're out in the air, you're up about 300 feet, and you're out over, some guys will push out past 1,000 feet. I don't care who you are. Don't tell me you see that. You know the area that it's in, but you don't see it. You know I'm up above that building, but you don't actually see it.
Well, then, I fly around my trees and I do all that kind of stuff. And once it's on the other side tree, I don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my line of sight. I know it's there because I can hear it, but I don't see it. Yeah.
Depending on the height of the building, it becomes harder to see it too.
Yeah, I think we've had a few people who have been really stupid when they've flown. And next thing you know, now we have all these rules or they make up things, right?
They get too close. They get too close and they end up doing something wrong, or they're flying on a day that it's a little too windy. Because you know what I realized with drones? You can't tell a hobbyist that it's too windy. A lot of them just don't care. I gotta fly. Like I went to a meetup today and it was a little windy. I mean, you could have got a flight in, but nothing serious. But to me, it was just too windy to be playing around trying to get intricate shots and stuff like that. No, that's too windy.
Right. I keep thinking of that kid that went and flew that thing into a window and broke it. When Novice and you were talking about in New York.
Well, we had a guy flew the I think it might have been the Karma into some lady's bedroom window. Now, I personally think he might have been going the other way, and the Karma just went into the bedroom window on its own.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's they get pulled when it comes to laws. Well, I think they're just going to make new laws for them, right? Because it's corporate, and that's kind of the way this whole thing runs most of the time.
Well, no, not such that it's new. They're just fitting into the category that they fit into.
Yeah, and suddenly the winds are twice as strong, or as in your case, swirling around a building. Could you imagine? I would be mortified if I was flying my drone and all of a sudden it just took off and went in someone's bedroom window. I'd be mortified. I'd go over there and go, I don't know what, you know, I don't even know what to say.
Now, you know what's funny about that, Val? And this is where, Lawrence talks about the double standard all the time. If you were a manned aircraft and that had happened to you, the world would feel sorry for you. But if you're a drone pilot, you were trying to go into her window.
Right.
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah. Okay. Props off. Example. Back many years ago, there was a guy that flew 2 young women's apartment windows in high-rise buildings and videotaped them. Oh, well, props off. If that happened,
You didn't hear it?
but they'd have to come in the window. Someone's going to hear that. Yeah, you're right. I would get the hell out of there. I would be mortified if I did that to someone. Now, is someone ever going to use a drone to try to spy on people or do whatever they do?
You know what's
they are.
about that, Val? The whole presumption of privacy.
Right.
That holds true in your bedroom with the closed doors and the shades closed.
Mm-hmm.
That holds true in the bathroom, but if your curtains are wide open, there's no, I don't care if you live on the 50-something floor. There's really no presumption of privacy if your shades are open.
There isn't. There is
because you're saying, look in.
And, I didn't realize that, but a lot of these paparazzi take pictures of stars and everyone else, and they sell them, and no one says, hey, that was my privacy. I was in my backyard. If they can find you to take that picture.
They're outside.
Yep. You're outside. Or you're in front of your window, with the lights on, it's dark.
So if you want to be an exhibitionist in front of your window with the shades open, your presumption of privacy is out the window.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more we have to consider now because it's so much easier. But the drone flyers I know, unless some of you can tell me, I won't tell anyone. Go ahead. You guys are out there looking at windows. I mean, we just have so much more interesting things to see than that.
The last video I did, I got a little close to the building, but I wouldn't have sat there and looked at the building if that portion of the building was occupied.
Yeah.
Most of the building was empty, and the other building was still under construction. But I could see right into the building, and I didn't think I was that close. But the camera on that, the P4 Pro, and these cameras can really and on a good day,
right?
See, at night I would have had to get up close if I could have seen anything at all.
Right. I did, and it's like Ed said, I can't believe I wouldn't hear a drone. I know the sound too well.
Yeah,
that stealthy. Ed, you're so right. Bar boys,
yeah.
How are you? Yeah, it's. I just couldn't imagine doing it. I mean,
you can't get that close without that barber's razor coming at you. You hear it.
Right. Oh my gosh. I just think that we are so worried about encroachment, right, into our worlds, and everything is so encroached in our worlds that genie's out of the bottle. That genie's out of the bottle. We have companies, you pay them, they'll go through all your records and come up with, this is who this person is. This is what they do. They do that. You just need a little bit of money to do that. I mean, what the hell? There's nothing really private. So it's when we start saying, just only the government is allowed to spy on people, nobody else. Oh, let me tell you, when they go into your records to give someone all your personal information, I don't think that's right, ever. damn Google car that drives by far more intrusive.
I was getting out of the car the other day, and that thing was passing by real slow.
Were they? They were going, ooh, look, we get to have Herman in our next map.
When I Google my neighborhood and I go all the way around the block, you can see my car parked on the next block.
I was looking at it one time at my house.
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh my God, I didn't mow the lawn. You could tell the lawn had gone for a couple weeks. So I thought, then that's when they take the damn picture? For God's sake. Ugh.
I just think it's amazing how they get some of the people out of the shots.
Right? Oh my gosh, yeah, because, and they do all those, when you're looking at your house and you want to see how much, where you're, they show those plots of your parcel and you come down and they show you they show you the backyard and everything else. There's nothing people can't find out if they want to. I think we just got to kind of get used to that and say, well, that is part of being inside this technological age.
And I show you how funny Google Maps is. Here in the city, we got so much construction going on. And you'll go to an area and that building is under construction. And it's like, say it's like 40 stories high already. And you go to Google Maps and it'll show it is just like 2 floors high on the map. And then when you go to like ground level, it's a whole big building already. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, you got 3 different pictures of this thing in one set.
Yeah, it depends on when they come by and get that picture.
The ground view always has the updated shot.
Yeah. Yeah, but I gotta say, I haven't seen that little Google car come by in a long time.
Yeah, it's around.
Say the heck with
it. It's been floating around recently out here.
What the hell, Ed? He goes, so I just let it all hang out and say the heck with it. You want it? Come get it. I'll be waiting for you. Are we still talking about camera drones?
Oh, I don't know. Or is he talking about the drone flying into his window?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't think privacy really exists. I think it should exist, but I don't think it does exist.
Well, it does. I mean, you just gotta know how to get it.
Right. There is a lot to do. And you are so flippin' funny. You are so flippin'.
Because if you like I said, if you close your curtains, then if they get past your curtains, now we're snooping.
Yeah, that's true. And
I close your door and I get past your door, now I'm illegally entering. But if you got that window wide open.
So let me tell you something. One thing I can see. You go to Ed's house with the drone, you just fly into his window, you're going to have some mad drone stuff coming after you. Because he's got some skill. He'll chop your little drone up. He's got some skill with FPV. Just like, yeah, let me show you what I got.
Can you imagine that?
Huh?
Could you imagine that? A guy flies into your apartment with an FPV drone, zips around your living room and right back out the same window?
Yep. I think, I think that sometimes you can, I think it'd be funnier than heck.
And you're breaking up half the apartment, throwing stuff at it?
Yep. Oh my God. But you get an FPV coming after it. That could be bad. Because those with some carbon, what are those, props?
Uh-huh.
It would chop a drone up. Yep. It could happen, LOL. Hey guys, it's after 7. Stick around, Herman, because I'm going to see if I can get Roger. But anyway, guys, it's past 7. You know what? I just want to say, I know you had choices, and I can name all the choices you had tonight because there were some really good choices tonight on what to watch. So that was my doggy, but I mean, she snores. Girls aren't supposed to snore, but
Okay.
Thank you for coming in. Thank you for being part of this live stream. And guys, if you don't have Jake, please check him out. He is he's just a phenomenal flyer. I just love what he does. I'm gonna have to have him on again because I had so many questions I didn't get asked. So hey Roger, why don't you click back in? And guys, I'm going to stop the broadcast. Love you all. You know it. Thank you so much for being here.
See you guys later.